So it's good to be with you guys right now. This is another episode coming from Sale. Definitely want us to take some time to really chat a little bit about something that was on my mind. Definitely, I want us to really have a good conversation and enjoy these next few minutes of dialogue. And I wanted to give you another perspective from another voice, and that's going to be my voice. So the topic that I definitely wanted to really hit on is a worker versus a boss mentality. You know, a lot of times we start off in a certain point in a structure, no matter if you're in an organization, no matter if you're trying to do your own thing, no matter if you come from wherever, you started from ground zero. So you started with the mentality, you know, that you have to get through that enduring day as a worker. And trust me, like the majority of people in the world, we're all workers to a certain point. When you have a boss and you have to report to somebody, we all work to some form of fashion in that way, you know. But what I really want to talk about is level of power, but then also level of understanding what your role is in your life and what you want to be as an individual when it becomes a worker to a boss mentality. Because as a worker, you know, a lot of people, you know, are thinking about achieving things, you know, for their own subconscious. And they always think about, okay, if I'm able to have certain forms of accolades or achievements, or we just feel like, you know, somebody just calling me the man or whatever. Like, we thinking that that's the gratification that we want, plus the compensation part of it, and being able to have the financials that come along with it. But a lot of times people want to have that leadership role given to them, or people want to be, you know, a boss in their mindset, but don't want the accountability of a boss. And so that's where you start to figure out what the difference of, you know, a mentality of a boss and a worker. Because a worker is just going to wake up, you know, and not be just content, but sometimes will do it for their family, which is respectful. You know, and you gotta respect a man or a woman that goes for their God honest truth to work for their family every single day. And sometimes it may not be the best thing that you want to work in. Most of us work in places that we do not, you know, tend to want to work in. We wake up every single day and have to deal with the absorbent of issues and feel tired as far as like dealing with a boss or dealing with people that don't give a damn, maybe at times. But you do it for your family, you do it because you want to make it through that next day, you do it because you got to live. So to me, I'm always going to be understanding to that. But it's also a different mentality when you come to, you know, the battlefield, you know, of a worker versus a boss. Because to me, you could be a boss and you could be a cashier, you could be a boss and be a maintenance guy, you could be a boss and own a gas station. It really doesn't matter. Like, you know, to me, it's honestly about how you really put a lot of weight into your craft and how much do you really care about what you do. You know, you don't have to be happy at everything you do in life, but do you care about what you do? Do you care about, you know, the people around you that really depend on it the same way? Because to me, if you're shortchanging yourself and you're shortchanging another person by, you know, just coming in and just what they will want to say is punching the clock, and just being okay and content in that way, then, you know, you're doing a detriment to other people as well and to other people's families. And then that becomes really a pitfall in that way. And that's a lot of times where we get into troubles within our society and within our communities everywhere. And right now, we have to understand that there's a difference of trying to create the value in our life, not just professionally, but personally, but it's also holding ourselves accountable to that. And if you are a worker, I always tell people, you're not a worker in that form. Like, you are a professional at what you do. If you professionalize what you believe in, then you will believe in a certain mentality of what you do. So when you go out there, you will have a certain respect about where you come from. You will have a certain respect about, you know, the outcomes that you feel like that you're still dealing with or you're enduring. And understanding that everybody's not perfect in no stretch of their imagination, but you're being a professional at what you're trying to do because you understand the long-term goal. You understand that there's a long-term perspective at it. And then to me, that's where the transition of becoming a worker to a boss mentality goes into. Because when you become a boss, you have the responsibility. Everything falls on you. You have to be the person that delivers certain results. You have to be able to hold people accountable. And a lot of times I will tell you, people do not like to hold people accountable. People don't like to have, that type of knowing that maybe I've affected somebody's livelihood, or maybe I've, changed somebody's life in maybe a negative, impactful way, or it could be any type of way. Maybe it becomes the relief. But to me, I really feel that when you are in that boss mentality, you have to understand how to stand pat in your mindset. Because right now, you're being challenged when you transform from that worker's mentality to a professional mentality to a boss mentality in that way. And a lot of people will tell you, well, I am a boss. I have done these things. I have done this. I have that. But to me, I just feel that a boss, you have to hold yourself accountable to certain points of structure. You have to be able to be dependable onto people. Like, people have to be able to call you. If you give a word, you have to be able to give your word and not move off of that word. And you have to be able to deliver on what you can. Because in a society that we live in right now, it's all about execution. It's all about the results. It's all about what you do right now. It's not about what you've done lately. And people are not respecting that at this component. Like, you have a lot of new age ideas. You have a lot of new consumption of thoughts. So people are living in the right now. So you got to challenge yourself from going from that transition period of being a worker to being a boss. And it's holding yourself accountable at all fronts with that. And it's just going to just going to hit the pavement and being able to go to do what you do and not be content about it. Make people feel uncomfortable. Continue to feel uncomfortable with the point of the comfortability that you feel that you're going to be in. Because if you start to really challenge yourself to that point, you can go to that transition period where you go from just being not just a worker, but a professional. And then not just a professional, but into a boss mentality. But then once you become a boss mentality, you can go to another level. And for me, I just see those transitions as that, like, you elevate to your points of life. And you have to be able to understand that nothing is going to be perfect. Nothing is going to be handed to you. Nothing is going to be a perspective where you can God honestly know what the outcome will be. You're never going to get the full value of what you deserve until you go ahead and take the value of what you deserve. And the honest truth about it is that if we wait for the moments to come to us, then we're going to be waiting forever. Because there's a lot of transitioning taking place in our society, in our lives. And right now, what we're seeing today is going to be different than what we see in the next year, 2 years, 5 years. So for anything that you believe, understand, being a worker is fine. The life that we have is only given to us one time. We only have one life that we can share in our life. And for me, I just feel that when you have a great understanding of, being who you are in life, it makes you feel as just being that worker, knowing that how you can become a professional at what you do, and then being able to help people become, better, just people to be around, with in an age where there's a lot of negativity. I think that's the humanity part that we should have. And that's the part that we should always understand that, we should enjoy. That's why it's the process. That's why we transition through the process every single day, and it's supposed to hurt. So right now, we have opportunities to really move forward. And it starts from changing the mentality of a worker to a boss mentality, a real boss mentality. And understand that you have to challenge yourself with that. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the conversation that we had talking about the difference of a worker versus a boss mentality. I definitely enjoyed our dialogue. I hope that you have some questions or comments. I hope that we can have a conversation about that, because I think it's very important that we talk about this because a lot of people think that they are a boss when they are a worker. And I think that we need to be able to separate the two and understand that it's in our mentality of how we approach the situation. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it. We'll definitely have another conversation very soon. Go out there and continue to drive that boss mentality every day. Check it.